Even though obviously I want to be able to give my children money and help them in certain ways, I actually want to pass down things that are more intangible to them, which is the confidence and mindset work that they'll need to be able to reach any goal, whether it is money or sports or career. I want them to know that even without the physical attributes or the dollars in the bank, that they have the tools necessary to figure it out.
T-minus 10 seconds.
Welcome to the Journey to Launch podcast with your host, Jamila Souffrant. As a money expert who walks her talk, she helps brave journeyers like you get out of debt, save, invest, and build real wealth. Join her on the journey to launch to financial freedom in
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, journeyers. So I have a special announcement for you, and it's a special treat. So I'm excited to invite you to join the Your Journey to Financial Freedom book club. And so, yes, my book, Your Journey to Financial Freedom, a step-by-step guide to achieving wealth and happiness, has been helping so many of you, and I've been so encouraged and inspired by your feedback. But I want you who have not read the book or who have maybe bought it but have not implemented anything to take action. And so I am starting a book club. Now, this book club can be joined anywhere. So you can be from anywhere. It can start anytime. You can do it by yourself. You can rally and invite your family, friends, or coworkers and get started. So this is how it's going to work. I have created free discussion guides that you can download right now that will help you have discussions around topics in the book. And with that, you can then have community, have some implementation, have some guidance on the topics in the book to help you take action. You can get those downloads for free by going to journeytolaunch.com/book club. There are going to be 2 discussion guides that come along with your downloads. One is going to be a chapter by chapter discussion for those who like to get really into details and weeds. And then there's going to be a more flexible general themes discussion guide that you can choose from. These guides are packed with questions and takeaways designed to help you bring the book's ideas right into your life. So the first step is getting the book. If you haven't gotten it already, grab your copy of Your Journey to Financial Freedom. You can get that by going to yourjourneytofinancialfreedom.com. It's also available on Amazon, Target, at your local bookstores, and the library. Don't forget your local library. Right now, actually, it's half off on Amazon if you want to grab it for less than $15. And then you can start your own book club. And then join me in the month of April, which is Financial Literacy Month. I'll be dedicating a couple of episodes of the podcast to some topics specific to the book and to the discussion guide. So you can follow along with me. So start your Journey to Financial Freedom book club right now. Go to journeytolaunch.com/book club to get started. If you want the episode show notes for this episode, go to journeytolaunch.com or click the description of wherever you're listening to this episode. In the show notes, you'll get the transcribed version of the conversation, the links that we mentioned, and so much more. Also, whether you are an OG journeyer or brand new to the podcast, I've created a free jumpstart guide to help you on your financial freedom journey. It includes the top episodes to listen to, stages to go through to reach financial freedom, resources, and so much more. You can go to journeytolaunch.com/jumpstart to get your guide right now. Okay, let's hop into the episode. Hey, journeyers. Welcome to the Journey to Launch podcast. I am your host, Jamila Souffrant, and I'm so glad you are joining me today. Now, if you're listening to this in real time, meaning when the episode drops, it is April 2025. And did you know that April is Financial Literacy Month? Yes, which means April is dedicated to raising awareness about the importance of financial education. And I know that many of you feel overwhelmed by personal finance to the point where you just want to avoid it. But you're doing okay because you're listening to this show, you're listening to me. So that means you're ready to take small steps or big steps to your freedom, your financial freedom goals. And financial literacy is not just about the numbers. I know the numbers are a big part of it. I talk about this in the podcast and in the book. And while we do measure numbers, there's a lot of intangibles that will help us reach our financial goals and life goals. And it's about empowerment. It's about knowledge, about making informed choices. And so I want you to know that you have the tools. And if you don't have the tools, you can obtain the tools to live the life you really want. And money is a tool. Money and learning how to manage money, spend money, earn money, invest money, all those things will help you get to your goals. So Financial Literacy Month is here, and doesn't matter when you listen to this, make every month Financial Literacy Month for yourself. I wanted to do a couple things. I wanted to remind you about the FIRE CALC tool that is currently available. I'm so excited about this. The FIRE CALC tool, so if you listen to the episode before this one, I break down what the FIRE CALC is, how I created it, and how I used it to figure out how I was going to reach financial independence and how I was able to quit my job and really map out what my life would look like. The tool helps you figure out how much will you need to reach financial independence. Financial independence is the idea. It is a way in which you are financially independent from actively working. You can live off of your investments. And I remember when I first heard of the concept, I was so excited about it, but I thought to myself, wait, how am I going to get there from where I was? And I didn't have a tool. I didn't see a tool online that really considered and took into account all the fluctuations and life changes and different things that I wanted to do over time. And so I created this tool. It's a Google Sheet. It was first started out as an Excel, but it's now in a Google Sheet, so it's more accessible, where you can literally map out how much you need, what are the ways in which you can reach your financial freedom and independence goals year by year. So you're plugging in your numbers. You can customize it for your specific journey. This is a tool that I use to show my husband, to get him on board, to trying out financial independence, because we were able to see year by year over time, considering how old our children would be in the future. And maybe if we wanted to take breaks or maybe buy a car or do some things in our life, like how that would impact our journey. And so this tool is something I'm so excited to share with you. And I am doing that by not only giving you access to this tool for the first time, making it public. Usually it's kind of embedded in my course or in a coaching program that I run, but I decided to pull the tool out because it is a standalone beneficial tool that anyone can use. I created a course around it to walk you through how to use it. And I am running a live class in April to help you, a 90-minute workshop. And so that workshop is taking place on April 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you are interested, you can go to journeytolaunch.com/FireCalc. That's journeytolaunch.com/fire. You'll get the details. And if you can't make the live class, there'll be replays, but you immediately get the tool once you sign up and you can get to work. I have the videos and the examples for you to start using the tool right away. And I think it's actually one of the most powerful things I've done outside of, the concepts that I hopefully created to help you feel more aligned and confident in your journey. I truly believe that this can be life-changing. So the price of the tool and the live workshop is going up. I am making spots limited because I don't want the class to be too large. And so if you're interested, you need to hop on board and join now. And even if you're listening to this after the date of the class, you can still check it out. Go to journeytolaunch.com/FireCalc. I'm not sure if I'll be running a live class again in the future and or making this just a product that you can buy after the fact, but check out journeytolaunch.com/FireCalc. Grab your spot and let's map out your journey to financial independence. Now, to move on just a little bit, I think this would be a great time to talk about the Your Journey to Financial Freedom book. So that is my book that came out, I can't believe, oh my goodness, came out in December 2023. And I thought it would be great to create discussion guides. So just free discussion guides for you to create your own book club. I mentioned this in previous episodes. You guys have been downloading your free guides. So I hope that you've been starting your book clubs. It can be just a book club of one or many, whether you are sharing it with your friends or maybe even coworkers that are down that you don't mind talking about this stuff with. I thought it'd be a great idea because people buy the book. I know you're buying the book because I see the numbers. And you are giving feedback. But I just know there are some people who have the book who have not finished it, have not read it, or don't even, are so overwhelmed by the thought of picking up a book like this. So I wanted to create these free discussion guides that help you walk through and really obtain the information, apply the concepts, be able to just guide you in asking questions that you can answer by yourself or with other people. So the discussion guides you can get at journeytolaunch.com/book club. But I thought it'd be nice to just go through a couple of the talking points here. Even if you don't have the book, which, go pick up the book. Right now, it's still on sale on Amazon. It's the lowest I've seen, under $15 for the hardcover. You could still, I believe, gain some insight and help from this. So let's get started. The discussion guides are 2. So you have 2 options for the discussion guide for the book. One is chapter by chapter for my people who like to be detailed. And so each chapter has a point and way in which you can gather information. And I did create the book in 3 parts. So the first part of the book is the what, why, and how of financial independence. To me, this is where you are more in the thinking and planning stages, understanding what it is financial freedom and independence means to you. Part 2 is about creating the plan. So the first part is more about there's not that much outward action. It's a lot of inward work. The second part requires some work because we are now creating your plan. This is actually where the FIRE CALC comes in, because once you understand what the life you want looks like and what financial freedom means to you, which by the way, it will change. It's now time to start planning, right? Like get the ideas that are in your heart, the concepts of what you want your life to be, those feelings. Like now let's see how that can come true with the numbers. And so that's part 2 of the book. And then part 3 is about executing your plan. So this is where the work comes in. So we have now developed your plan and we put the numbers down in your FIRE CALC, or you have thought about what this looks like financially and how long it could take you. Now it's time to get to work. Part 3 of the book is all about executing that. So the first discussion guide option that you have is by chapter. So that literally goes through each chapter and then has some questions that can help you bring these points to your life and execute. The second discussion guide, meaning the option, so you can either choose chapter by chapter, or the second option is a more general discussion guide based on topics. So it's not as specific to chapters. It's more broad, discussing the themes, the major themes of the book. So I thought it might be a good idea to go over some of the questions in the discussion guide that is the general one, so we can kind of have a book club discussion here. I'm going to just ask some questions. I'm actually going to answer just a couple of them. And I want you to think about these questions too and how it relates to your life. Now, again, if you want the book club discussion guides for free, go to journeytolaunch.com/book club to get your guides. Now let's get started. So the overall theme of the book is empowering you to reach your version of financial independence, but obtain freedom along the way. That was important for me to really make clear, or hopefully to readers, to journeyers, to listeners of the podcast as I began my journey, because I didn't want to wait until I reached having all the money I needed to be happy or to feel financially free. And I suspect that a lot of people don't want to even attempt this journey because depending on your starting point, even if you start a little ahead based on the journeyer stages that I discussed, it feels like it can take a long time. So, you just want to live your life. You don't want to think that you have to wait 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now to feel happy. So how do we feel and have that freedom while on the path? And with some of these talking points, we are going to dive deep and discuss that. So some key themes that will allow you to reach the life of your dreams and understand your finances is understanding your money mindset and just your overall mindset. So here are just some questions from the discussion guide that I want you to think about yourself. Your money mindset. How has your money mindset evolved or changed from reading this book, so Your Journey to Financial Freedom, or what is your current money mindset, if you can identify it? So how do you feel about money? What limiting beliefs do you have around money? And have you discovered in yourself if you're being honest? And how do you plan to shift them? So I'm going to ask this question again, and I want you to think about it. What limiting beliefs about money have you discovered in yourself? How do you plan to shift them? And I'll even give you an example of a limiting money belief. So a limiting belief could be, I'll never be able to build wealth because I didn't grow up with money. A lot of people have this one. And when you think back where it could come from, it could potentially come from literally that's your reality. You didn't grow up with money. So you grew up in a household where money was tight. You might see wealth as something only available to people from privileged backgrounds and feeling just like financial success is out of reach because of past struggles. And it can hold you back in ways that it just prevents you from trying. It prevents you from learning about investing or budgeting because you believe it won't make a difference. You believe that you can't reach or obtain your goals because you don't have the tools and you don't believe you can have them. So this causes you or could cause you to stay in survival mode. So instead of planning for long-term wealth while improving your current circumstances in the short term, you are more focused on just surviving. And of course, this can lead to frustration and you're comparing yourself to people and a feeling of hopelessness, which again, that mindset, that belief prevents you from trying. And that is a tragedy of it all, because instead of trying and making progress, even if it's small, you feel stuck. So in order to, let's just say you've discovered this, you thought about this question, you think to yourself, okay, how can I reframe this? You have to start to rewire your brain and feed your brain and your just circumstances different messaging. You have to talk to yourself in a different way and change and reframe that belief. So instead of saying, I did not grow up with money, I don't understand it, it's not for people like me, reframing it to, I have the ability to learn. I have the ability to make smart decisions, no matter where I started. It's that growth mindset. So mindset shifts like, wealth isn't just inherited. People can build it through education, through smart habits, through consistency. And many successful people have started with nothing. And maybe generations later, that person who is benefiting from, an ancestor or someone who started to do something differently. But a lot of people have started with nothing and have been able to build something for themselves. Why not you? And these small steps, even though they seem small, can really, really make all the difference, whether it is budgeting, saving, investing, thinking of even just learning about these concepts. You're on the right path. Listening to this, you're on the right path. So action steps from here. So again, this is discovering and thinking about the question about your limiting beliefs and reframing it. And I'm giving you an example of what that can look like. Now that we've thought about this, so we've identified maybe what a limiting belief is. We now have maybe tried to uncover where it started from. We're thinking about different ways to think about our beliefs. Now we need some action. Now it's time to take some action. So a way you can do that is find a success story that you can relate to. So I know that there are so many examples, whether, and I hope that you could find one on the podcast, but because I've interviewed people, whether, they have paid off debt or reached financial independence, so you can just scroll back through all the episodes, but try to find someone you actually can relate to, maybe from a similar background, maybe from a, same country of origin, or something that you feel like, okay, this is someone I actually feel like gets it because they've been where I've been, and see what you can pull from them. Now, I do believe you can learn from anyone, but if you're having a hard time believing it's possible for you, try to find an example of someone that you do relate to and seeing what they did and to get that inspiration. And then identify a small action you can take today and I don't care how small it is. I don't care if it's just getting the login information for your credit cards or your investment accounts that you don't want to look at or have forgotten, but do that. Maybe even thinking about opening up a savings account. I know I have some people that have told me they are delaying opening up a online high yield savings account. That could be a step you take today. So again, question from the discussion guide is, what are your limiting beliefs? And how can you plan to shift them, right? So that is a key theme that I think is important to think about and implement in your life, how you think about money. Another talking point or question from the discussion guide that you can get at journeytolaunch.com/book club is defining what your financial freedom and financial independence looks like. That's really important. So there are a couple questions in the discussion guide about this. So what does a financially free life look like? What does it look like? And if you did have all the money that you needed, what would you do with your time? What would your day look like? I actually think when I think of this question as I'm reading it, I get excited because I think understanding and sitting with this question is important. And I want you to think about it and be free with your ideas and thoughts around it. And don't hold back. Don't hold back. I think sometimes we don't even want to say what we want in fear that it is ridiculous or not attainable. So that goes back to the mindset, which, yeah, maybe some of your goals, if you really, on the head, feel ridiculous, but that's okay. That's okay. This is an exercise meant for just you, and you can do multiples of them. But first, get it out. So the question of what does a financially free life look like? And what would your day look like if you did achieve financial independence? So I'll answer this question for myself. A financially free life for me looks like not having to worry about or look at my accounts in an obsessive way and be able to, on the fly, buy things that I want or go out to eat. And so money is free flowing. I don't worry about if there is enough. I know that there's enough in our accounts to cover our basic needs and more. That's what financially free lifestyle looks like to me. I'm not worried about, oh my gosh, should we order out today? If we want to order out, we can order out. And it's not necessarily a matter of money because we know it's there. It's being able to make decisions on the fly for convenience and just for what we want to do without worrying about money. And in terms of what my day would look like, quite honestly, it would look very similar to what I do now, except I wouldn't necessarily worry or think too much about my business. I would probably work a couple of months out of the year, which it kind of feels like that now, but really I'd lean into it and own it. I'd only work maybe. It's so funny. I told someone the other day that I didn't want to work in the summertime because my kids are off. So having that flexibility is great. I didn't want to work in the beginning of the school year. So for us, that is September all the way. Just take it all the way to the end of the year for holidays. I didn't really want to work January and February because that's the start of the new year and my birthday. So I was like, you know what? I could work March, April, and May. And they were like, oh, it sounds like you need to be in the tax profession. So I thought that was funny. But when I really think about what my life and my days would look like if I didn't have to work for money, it'd be similar to a lot of time spent with the kids, but also on my personal activities and fulfillment, working out, running, spending time with friends, and exploring other hobbies. And then I'd be working, but it definitely would be limited availability. You might get pop-up podcast episodes, for 3 months out of the year. That's probably what I'd be doing. So when I think about that brings me joy. It makes me happy. And there are other ways in the book specifically that I ask you to think about this. One of it is your 10-year life exercise. So in 10 years, pick a day and what you want that day to look like from the moment you wake up and be really detailed. Think about that. Think about what you want your life to be. And then you can start to be creative about ways to, one, achieve that today. So how can some of the things that you think you'd want to do and those feelings you think you want to have in the future, how can you bring that into your life today to start becoming and feeling like you have options instead of feeling stuck? All right, the next section that the general discussion guide kind of goes through is taking control of your finances. So one of the questions in here is, which of the 5 journey stages do you currently identify with? Where are you on the 5 journey stages? And then what is your guac level? So these are concepts I created because I thought it helped me get more excited and clear about my position in the journey, and it helped other people to figure out where they were. And so the 5 journey stages it's the first one is the explorer stage. That's when you're first coming to and understanding your finances. And in that stage, you typically are just trying to reach a point where you can pay for your expenses. So at this level, you might feel like you're in the red, constantly trying to keep up. And it doesn't actually matter your income level here. If you have a higher income, you may be able to correct this quicker than someone who does not have a high income and can't get rid of their expenses as quickly. But in this stage, you want to get to a stability place. That's the goal. Explorer stage. Second stage is the cadet stage. It's all about becoming debt-free. So you're working on paying off consumer debt. So in this stage, you have consumer debt that you're working on paying off. So the goal here is to become debt-free. The third stage, so once you become debt-free, you move on to the aviator stage. This is where you can focus on saving and investing. Now, just to go back a bit, your debt in stage 2, I usually don't include student loans and a mortgage there and any debt that you purposely keep. So for example, I'm in a later stage, but we have a mortgage and I use my credit card all the time, but pay it off every month. So you can strategically use debt and make that decision for yourself. But stage 3 or that third level is called the aviator stage, where you're focused on saving and investing. So you're in the accumulation stage where you are able to build your assets, because ultimately you need assets, whether that is real estate and of course your investments, retirement or non-retirement, to fund your expenses. So you need to convert income into assets so that you can then convert it back into income to become financially independent. So in that third stage is very important to build up your assets, to invest and save. Fourth stage is the commander stage. That's where you reach this idea, this level where work is flexible. So you reach a set point that you can take a break. You can choose what you want to do for work. It doesn't mean you financially independent at all. You may need to go back to work or work at some point, but you have so much more flexibility. So that's stage 4. The commander stage, that's the stage I'm currently in. And then stage 5 is the captain stage, where you have truly reached financial independence and don't have to actively work. So think about what stage you're currently in. You can, by the way, be in one stage and go back. So you can go from a cadet stage to work flexible stage, so that second stage to the fourth stage, and then something happens where you're in debt and you go back to stage 2. Does not mean failure, does not mean you're doing something wrong. It's life. And so I think identifying the current stage you are in is really important, because then there are decisions and priorities that should take place depending on how intense you want your journey to be. So if you're someone who is in that debt payoff stage and you've done the calculations, and it might take you 3-4 years to pay off your debt if you're going to be intense about it, versus someone who is not maybe as willing to give up certain things, it might take them longer. Understanding the stage you're in will then help determine how fast you want to go through each stage and what you're willing to do in each stage or in that stage to get to the next level. And with that comes the guac levels that I talk about here, which is the level of spending in which you feel content and happy and that you ultimately want. So guac levels also go from 1 to 5, 1 being very frugal, not spending a lot of money, 5 being extravagant. And understanding your guac level is really important, because your guac level can actually change. You can choose to be more frugal, potentially, to get through certain stages of the journey, and then kind of go back to spending in the way you want. You may not want to change your guac level at all. So maybe you are someone who's like, I like quote unquote nice things. There's a certain level in which I want to spend money and live, and I'm not willing to back down from that. And if that's the case, depending on where you are in the journeyer stage, will help you come to terms with what your journey is going to look like. Because if you have a guac level 4 and you are in journeyer level 1 and 2, and you are refusing to back down on that guac level for a bit to get you ahead, then you have to make peace with where you are. I found that most people, once they understand these concepts, once they're serious about getting out, because most times people are wanting to reach financial independence and being attracted to this journey because they're unhappy about something. a commute, a job, a situation, and they want to get out. And I found that when people are serious about wanting to get out of a situation, they're willing to make the sacrifices, even if it's just short term, to get out of that. And so understanding your journey or stage, guac level, and being honest about what you're willing to do and give up or delay, so delayed gratification, to get to certain points in your life is important. And so one of the questions in the guide is, where are you? Where are you in your journey or stage? And what guac level are you? And how is this impacting your financial journey? Being honest with yourself. How is it impacting your financial journey? So sit with that and think about that question. And then the last thing I will pull from the discussion guide that might be helpful for you listening is financial independence and legacy. So I have a question in here on the discussion guide. How do you want your financial journey to impact future generations or your community? So key for, especially if you are a parent and you're thinking about raising your kids in a way where you want money to not be a sore spot or an Achilles heel to them in their life, where you want them to feel empowered around money. And even in your communities, you don't necessarily have to be a parent to feel this way, right? Like so many of us, are within our communities and doing work and want better and want to have and start these threads of generational wealth. So what do you want that to look like? Even though obviously I want to be able to give my children money and help them in certain ways, I actually want to pass down things that are more intangible to them, which is the confidence and mindset work that they'll need to be able to reach any goal, whether it is money or sports or career. I want them to know that even without the physical attributes or the dollars in the bank, that they have the tools necessary to figure it out. And so when we think about generational wealth and legacy, what is that we want to give our children? I want them to understand that it's nice to have nice things, but it's more important to be secure and know what's enough. And with that, the thought and ideas of having security and at least having them not have to struggle for the basics in their life is what's important to me. And then beyond that, everything else is extra. So when you think about your financial legacy or impacting your community, what are the things that you want to do? How do you want to live your life in a way that is an example for other people to be inspired and to be curious about what's going on with you and how can they get on that same page? Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that was just like a quick walkthrough of some of the discussion points and questions in the Your Journey to Financial Freedom guide. These are free discussion guides that you can get based on my book, Your Journey to Financial Freedom. I created it so you can have the tools to start your own little book club, whether it's just you or you grab some family and friends, coworkers to join you. You can get the discussion guides at journeytolaunch.com/book club. Also, I've been asked to think about any updates I want to make to the book for the soft cover release. So I was told that the soft cover of my book is going to be coming out January 2026. And I have a few weeks to update it. They're not going to be major updates in the book, but update it, potentially maybe a bonus chapter for the soft cover. And so if you've read the book and you enjoyed it, I'd love to get your feedback on what additional content or information I can add to the soft cover to make it a bit special and to celebrate this release. So if you have any ideas, shoot me a DM. I'm at Journey to Launch or at Jamila Souffrant on Instagram. Just tell me what you think I should include or update in the soft cover release of the book that's coming out. I have a couple weeks, so let me know sooner than later. Or you can actually email hello@journeytolaunch.com if you have more points you want to get across. So again, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Journey to Launch podcast. Once again, the tool, the FIRE CALC tool, is available right now for purchase. This tool is to help you map out your freedom journey, your financial journey, and put in your actual numbers. I'm also hosting a live 90-minute, probably will go longer than that, but 90-minute workshop to help you walk through the tool and even discuss these concepts more. So if you want my feedback and help in planning out your financial journey, you got to join me. You got to get the tool. Go to journeytolaunch.com/FIRECALC. Okay. With that, thank you so much for joining me. And until next week, keep on journeying, journeyers. Hi, Jamila here, host of this podcast and author of the book, Your Journey to Financial Freedom, a step-by-step guide to achieving wealth and happiness. Just a few years ago, I was in a job I didn't like, with a long commute, feeling stuck. I knew there had to be a different, better way. Then I found the pathway to financial freedom and financial independence. Today, I have more money, options, and freedom than I ever thought was possible. And in my book, Your Journey to Financial Freedom, I'll show you how you can achieve that too. You'll learn how to spend and save responsibly, all while enjoying that spicy margarita and extra side of guacamole. Determine where you are on the journey and evaluate your spending and saving goals accordingly. Quit your job, retire early, or reach financial independence. My book, Your Journey to Financial Freedom, a step-by-step guide to achieving wealth and happiness, is out now and available on Amazon, bookshop.org, Barnes & Noble, and more. You can even listen to the audiobook narrated by me. Go to yourjourneytofinancialfreedom.com to get a free bonus when you order the book and see all the places to buy it. Once again, go to yourjourneytofinancialfreedom.com. Don't forget, you can get the episode show notes for this episode by going to journeytolaunch.com or click the description of wherever you're listening to this. And you can still grab your Jumpstart Guide for free to help you on your journey to financial freedom by going to journeytolaunch.com/jumpstart. If you want to support me and the podcast and love the free content and information that you get here, here are 4 ways that you can support me and the show. 1, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast wherever you listen, whether that's Apple Podcasts, that purple app on your phone, your Android device, YouTube, Spotify, wherever it is that you happen to listen, just subscribe so you are not missing an episode. And if you're happening to listen to this in Apple Podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe there. I appreciate and read every single review. Number 2, follow me on my social media accounts. I'm at Journey to Launch on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and I love interacting with journeyers there. 3, support and check out the sponsors of this show if you hear something that interests you. Sponsors are the main ways we keep the podcast lights on here, so show them some love for supporting your girl. 4, and last but not least, share this episode, this podcast with a friend or family member or coworker so that we can spread the message of Journey to Launch. All right, that's it. Until next week, keep on journeying, journeyers.